tonight.
Hi.
Separated spouses, finally reunited.
I've made over 2,600 trips from here down to Hilltop, south end of Cambridge.
Their fight for each other.
Jim and I have been walking this road, which has been very painful for a number of years right now.
And the proposed law they continue to push the province on. Plus, fallout from restructuring at Cambridge City Council.
Well, we had no awareness of it, so we didn't participate in its development or its implementations.
Staff left shocked and surprised.
Since strong mayor powers came into being, the city manager and I have been discussing this. I felt there was an urgency to it.
And the mayor's response. A brewery tour.
So far, I've sketched just over 100 breweries. I think there's just over 300 breweries in Ontario.
In your own hands.
The game itself is incredible. It helps support a local artist.
The card game on tap for local beer lovers. Good evening. We begin tonight with a shocking conspiracy uncovered by the RCMP. Some active members of the Canadian Armed Forces are accused of trying to start an anti-government militia motivated by violent extremism. 4 men are now facing charges. CTV's Michael Couture now with who these men are and what exactly they were planning.
We know that 2 of the accused are active members of the Canadian Armed Forces. Now, police allege 3 of the 4 have been planning to create a militia. And according to the charges, the plan was to forcibly take possession of land in the Quebec City area. With 83 guns and accessories, about 11,000 rounds of ammunition, and smoke grenades, police believe the group was ready to do something serious. A search in January of 2024 also turned up 4 pairs of night vision goggles and military equipment.
The fact that we could charge with facilitating a terrorist activity, that it means that people were actually preparing, were taking actions that led us to believe that they wanted to actually achieve something and wanted to commit this violent terrorist acts.
The RCMP has charged 4 people, and the Department of National Defence confirms 2 of them are active members of the Canadian Armed Forces. Matthew Forbes faces charges related to possession of firearms. Marc-Auriel Chabot, Simon Anger Odette, and Raphaël Lagacé are all facing charges related to facilitating terrorist activity. The terrorism charges span a period between 2021 and 2024 in Montreal, Quebec City, Petawawa, and Ralston, Ontario. Lagacé's friend of 12 years is shocked at the accusation that he would be trying to create an anti-government militia. It's quite the contrary, actually. He's very pro-government, very pro-monarchy, says the friend. Police say one of the accused created and ran this Instagram account, which was a recruiting tool for new members of the militia.
As soon as they start talking about seizing land, this goes to me to, I think about some of the militias operating in the United States that set up strongholds, areas where the federal government can't go, and try to really keep out law enforcement.
The 4 accused made a brief court appearance this afternoon in Quebec City, and all of them will remain in custody until their next court date, July 14th. Mike Couture, CTV News, Ottawa.
Okay, let's take a check on the forecast with CTV's Alexandra Pinto, who is outside of our studios tonight. Alex, looks like a pretty nice evening out there.
Yeah, pretty nice indeed. That sun, though, is being overshadowed by some clouds out here, but fairly comfortable, even though we're seeing a bit more overcast conditions. But not too much activity as we get into the later evening and into the overnight. But can't say we're not going to see active weather at all for the rest of the week. We'll get into that a little bit later. But looking at our satellite and radar, yeah, not seeing too much activity here in Kitchener-Waterloo or surrounding areas. Again, just a few clouds for us just outside of our studios here. Right now, we're sitting at 25 degrees. If you're by the shores of Lake Huron, a little bit cooler. 24 in Mount Forest, 25 in Toronto. And not really feeling that heat and humidity. It's quite cool with that sun being blocked by quite a few clouds out there. But right now, feeling closer to 30. Similar conditions in London. 31 it's feeling like in Toronto. So a nice break from that heat and humidity we saw over the weekend, but some wet weather is expected to be on the way, so we're going to break it all down a little bit later. Leanne.
Okay, Alex, thanks very much. An elderly Cambridge couple has been living separately in the same city for years, but not by choice. Ontario's long-term care system doesn't prioritize keeping couples together when one needs additional care. The pair have finally been reunited, although not necessarily for the right reasons. CTV's Spencer Turcotte explains.
Hi.
This sort of greeting is one Jim McLeod thought he may never experience again.
You didn't think we were so popular, eh?
Since 2017, he's been trying to reunite with his 86-year-old wife, Joan, who requires long-term care.
I've made over 2,600 trips from here down to Hilltop, south end of Cambridge.
Jim has been living independently at Fairview Mennonite Home, which has long-term care facilities on site. Joan was sent to Hilltop, a 25-minute drive away. Jim lobbied hard to have her moved to Fairview, but Ontario's long-term care system doesn't prioritize keeping married couples together. Waterloo MPP Catherine Fife joined the fight in 2019, introducing the Till Death Do Us Part Act.
Jim and I have been walking this road, which has been very painful for a number of years right now.
The proposed law to reunite married couples who are separated when they enter institutional care for seniors died before it could go into effect. The last time, because a snap election was called, meaning any legislation yet to pass was wiped from the docket.
So technically, all of the bills for spousal reunification are no longer valid.
But as Joan's condition began to worsen, medical staff at Hilltop Manor wrote to the province and requested she be transferred to Fairview for proper care and to be closer with Jim.
It's nice to know that we're not much closer.
While they're back together under the same roof, the fight isn't over. Jim and Joan have friends in the building who are separated from their spouses. He wants to see the Till Death Do Us Part Act become law so other couples alike don't lose valuable time together.
And unfortunately, we've seen some spouses pass away and never be unified again.
So as Jim continues to push the province, Joan's advice reflects the same words of wisdom she had when they were trying to reunite.
Don't give up.
Spencer Turcotte, CTV News, Cambridge.
Therma Canada has offered another look at its plans for a private spa at Ontario Place. The company now says the complex will be smaller, including a quiet retreat along the lake. Here's CTV's Siobhan Morris.
It's a colorful world of play and glee for the kids, tranquility and escape for the grown-ups. These are the updated plans for Therma Canada's controversial water playground and spa in a reimagined Ontario Place.
The whole building is 25% smaller, and that's just sort of a combination of hearing feedback from community about concern about scale.
The pay-to-access facility taking over much of the West Island, part of a 95-year lease with the province.
All of this is public green space.
The design team is emphasizing 16 acres of trails, including on the roof, pavilions, and a new beach. But critics see this show and tell as revealing of something else.
Admitting that they're scrambling to put lipstick on this massive pig that they created.
Opponents had hoped for more greenery to replace what was removed from the West Island.
It'll take generations and decades for any trees planted now to reach the level of maturity of the trees that were already there.
What they're proposing are some paths around the edge of a very large building.
The landscaper on the project says native plants are part of the vision and that the Therma complex won't block access to public spaces.
People will be able to understand that it's part of the larger Ontario Place. It is not separate from, it is fully connected to.
There's an attempt to counter criticism that what's going on the water's edge is a luxury spa.
This is the place for families to come, working families to come and have a great day, whether it's in June, July, December, or February. And it's affordable.
With the target for daily admission set at $40. But Sampson feels that kind of money talk misses the real affordability question.
It's our asset. It's our public space that's being given to them, and they're going to then come back and charge us for it.
And there's worry about more money getting involved.
30% of that land, they can still use that for their commercial purposes. So right now they say that's going to be open, but we don't know what the future is going to look like.
Therma says that clause is to allow vendors to sell food and drinks, maybe invite festivals in.
And that was CTV's Siobhan Morris. After more than 10 weeks, a strike is ending. In April, hundreds of Canadian hearing services workers hit the picket lines right across the province. Union workers demanding wage improvements and saying they want an audit done of the organization. Today, a rally was planned in downtown Kitchener, but now it's a celebration. And that is where we find CTV's Heather Centerin out front of Kitchener City Hall. Heather, tell us a bit more about what the mood is like there.
Well, there was more than around 24 people here. And as you said, it started as a rally, but now they say it is a celebration. Many people with smiles on their faces. And they say that they are thrilled to soon be able to be going back to work. Now, the event here started at 2 p.m. and just wrapped up moments ago. Now, the Canadian Hearing Services workers first hit the picket line on April 28th, and they say it's been a long 10 weeks plus. Talks were stalled multiple times while at the bargaining table, and workers were saying the strike was really creating barriers for Canadians who rely on these critical services. The workers include counselors, audiologists, and interpreters.
So members of QP 2073 are happy to now have the stability of a 3-year contract that offers them improvements in wages, benefits, and a pension. Members would also like to thank the labor groups and the deaf and hard of hearing client groups that have supported us during this long strike.
According to the union members here today, the ratification was officially today. They say they plan to go back to work as soon as next Monday. Leanne.
Okay, seems like a good outcome there, Heather. Thanks very much. Prime Minister Mark Carney has made it clear since he was on the campaign trail his government will look to cut government spending. Now, Canada's Finance Minister and Treasury Board President have issued letters to Carney's cabinet asking them to find day-to-day operational savings by the end of summer. CTV's Austin Lee reports.
I'm very concerned by this announcement. The Prime Minister promised caps and not cuts. And it definitely feels like the public service workers are going to be bearing the brunt of this.
Letters have been sent out to Prime Minister Mark Carney's cabinet ministers, directing them to come up with a plan by the end of the summer to slash spending. And that has some public servants concerned.
We're starting to talk about it. So far hasn't impacted our department yet, but we're going to find out by the end of August. So the mood is, a little lower.
CTV News has learned ministers must find 7.5% in day-to-day operational savings by the 2026-27 fiscal year, followed by 10% savings in 2027-28 and 15% the year after that.
The government plans on doing this exercise and looking at cost cutting, and they're hoping to have a plan in place by the end of August.
It comes as Carney's government has laid out some expensive measures, including a tax cut for the middle class and a significant boost to military spending, which the C.D. Howe Institute says could help bring Canada's deficit to over $92 billion this fiscal year alone.
You need to either look at a source of revenue that isn't personal or corporate income taxes, or you have to look at spending cuts. Possibly you have to look at both, because the increase in defense spending to 5% of GDP takes us into territory we haven't been in since the early 1950s.
Those spending cuts could come in the form of layoffs, but the Public Service Alliance of Canada says there are other ways to fill the gaps.
By cutting costs to consultants, as well as reversing the mandate to a return to office, you can save billions of dollars.
It's still unclear what this could mean for public service workers, but it has them talking.
I know some that are close to retirement are actually maybe waiting for some sort of a package, so they give them that incentive to go out. Okay. Heard that a few times too. Right. So there's two sides to the coin in that. Some are very concerned.
That was Austin Lee reporting. International Trade Minister Chrystia Freeland is in Quebec City today, meeting with her provincial and territorial counterparts. Bill C-5, also known as the One Canadian Economy Act, aims to remove internal trade barriers, increase labor mobility, and fast-track nation-building projects. The Office of the Procurement Ombudsman says the current system for awarding federal contracts is flawed.
We can no longer sustain Band-Aid solutions. We have to address the foundational issue that our system is too complex and it's not working for all participants.
Today, the Ombudsman announced the department will appoint a chief procurement officer. They will help keep the department accountable for issues like lack of documentation and a lack of interdepartmental communication. And a reminder to start your day in the know with our CTV News Kitchener newsletter. You can get the best local content from CTV News straight to your inbox. We've got today's top stories, the latest weather forecast, and must-see videos. It is all in one place. Sign up now, ctvnewskitchener.ca. A hefty price tag for property owners still ahead. The new sewer system in a Cambridge neighborhood and the recommendation from staff for residents to pick up part of the cost.
I'm Jeff Pickle. The mayor of Cambridge says the time is right for a major shakeup. Why Mayor Liggett says the sense of urgency led to pushing forward with little notice. That story is just ahead.
Comfortable conditions for your Tuesday evening, but you may want to grab the umbrella before heading out the door tomorrow. I'll tell you when we could see some wet weather on the way in your full forecast.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
We go to a dramatic scene unfolding.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. ctvkitchener.ca, your home for news. When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400. From your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Cambridge Mayor Jan Liggett says efficiency was top of mind when she ordered the corporate restructuring of city departments. The move shocked most staff and city councillors who were not part of the decision-making. CTV's Jeff Pickle is following this story for us once again today. Jeff, you spoke with the mayor today. What did she have to say?
Well, Leanne, Mayor Liggett says she used the strong mayor powers to get this done, but says it typically would be up to the city manager to make operational changes, and it's not typically something that involves elected councillors. But a councillor we spoke with says they should have been at least aware that the changes were coming. The city of Cambridge is seeing a shakeup in its business operations.
In any municipality, there's an organizational chart of who does what, the different levels. It's no different than a corporate entity.
Last Friday, the mayor sending out a staff-wide email detailing the new organizational structure. Starting next week, the mayor is tweaking the departments and adding a fifth department to help keep up with customer satisfaction.
We also have customer service where the public is much more demanding. We have been working very hard to make sure that we meet those legislative changes, but to also satisfy the customer.
Mayor Liggett, working with a cross-section of senior leaders, says now is the time.
Since strong mayor powers came into being, the city manager and I have been discussing this. I felt there was an urgency to it.
Urgency because the current city manager is retiring this summer, and they want to complete any changes before a new city manager is brought in.
So nobody's losing a job. There will be a small impact to the budget, but we already have operational funds for some of this.
Left out of the decision was City Council.
Well, we had no awareness of it, so we didn't participate in its development or its implementation.
Councillor Scott Hamilton says he doesn't know why council was shut out.
It would have been helpful for us now because we'd be able to answer questions for residents and staff members that are being given to us.
According to Mayor Liggett, council is never part of administrative decisions, and it would be an unnecessary delay in the process.
I think I had maybe 12, 15 people who were part of this process. If I had added another 8 that are councillors who do not know all the insides outs of the city, I would have had a cacophony of people all around trying to do a reorg.
The transition began Monday, but it could take several weeks to complete. Now, one other change was the renaming of city deputy managers to just general managers. To that, Mayor Leggett says it's just about simplicity, and the deputy manager title is one that the public struggled to understand, whereas the term general manager is just much more clear that they are the ones who are in charge. Leanne.
Okay, Jeff, thanks for the follow-up on that story. CTV's Jeff Pickle joining us live this hour. More than 1,600 homes were without power for several hours in Kitchener this morning. Some residents said they heard a big boom just before the lights went out. Viewer video shows a fire that happened around 6:30 near Thaler and Kinsey Avenue. It broke out in several spots along the downed power line. Kitchener fire officials put it out quickly as Innova hydro crews worked to restore power.
It's the first time in this street. I don't think it has happened before. But I heard from my friends who are like 2 blocks away, their power is down still. And I work from home, so I need the power back.
Officials say an electrical malfunction is what caused the fire. A warning for homeowners with septic systems that live on the edge of cities. In Cambridge, the city recently installed a sewer line along Blenheim Road. It connects homes there to the municipal system. And now property owners are being asked to pay a hefty charge for it. CTV's Colton Weens explains.
It's a brand new sewer system installed along Blenheim Road, and while it came as a bit of a surprise at first, this homeowner is happy to see it.
When we purchased it, we knew that we had a holding tank. We didn't know anything was sort of scheduled to, replace that system, but we were okay with the concept. So when we heard about it, we thought, okay, well, it's going to be better for property values, and it'll be a better system, not having to worry about pumping out the tank and such.
The sewer line has since been installed, costing the city nearly $162,000. And now staff are recommending a special bylaw to have the property owners pay for nearly half of the work.
We didn't realize that our cost to do so was going to be, I think, roughly we put about $15,000 into it. So we didn't know that that was going to be the actual cost, and that part of that was going to go on our taxes, and then the other part of that was having to pay for a contractor to come and actually decommission the old system and tie it all in. So yeah, it was a little bit of a shock. I mean, $15,000 isn't, insignificant.
According to Ward 5 Councillor Sherry Roberts, sewer replacements are typically funded through water bills, but these properties have not historically paid into the wastewater reserve system, so a local improvement process is being undertaken to partially fund the extension. What each property pays depends on the size of their lots. The city gave owners a chance to object or correct the charges, but no complaints were filed.
So to me, it was a little bit of a surprise, but we're not difficult people, so we just kind of paid it and moved on.
Tonight, council is expected to vote on whether to approve the bylaw to have the owners pay. If approved, payments would be due by December 19th or face interest at a rate of prime plus 2%. Colton Weens, CTV News, Cambridge.
And a live look outside this hour from downtown Kitchener. You can see the sun is trying to poke through. A little bit of cloud cover out there, but it is quite comfortable for an evening stroll, barbecue, maybe even a patio. You better get it in because the wet weather is on its way. Alex will tell us when, coming up next. Also ahead, the latest on the flooding and tragedy in Texas. As the death toll rises, the search and rescue mission continues on the 5th day. And later, Amazon facing setbacks amid Prime Day and market scrutiny. The investigation by Canada's Competition Bureau. All right, we could see that cloud cover, Alex, out there. It looked comfortable when you were standing outside the studios, but you can definitely see the ominous clouds starting to form.
Yeah, you kind of look outside the window and you're like, is it going to rain? But you step outside and you're like, no, we're seeing that sun peeking through the clouds, and it looks a little bit more overcast maybe than it is if you are inside looking out. But I don't want to say it's cool. It's comfortable. It's refreshing out there, especially after dealing with that heat and humidity from the weekend we saw. So
refreshing. That's the word we're going with.
A welcome change, which is nice. So yeah, taking a live look outside. This is from just outside Carlslayer Square in downtown Kitchener. You can see some nice blue sky, just a few clouds, but no sun in sight, hiding somewhere behind the clouds. But it is a very, very comfortable evening to go for a walk, maybe sit on a patio. I don't even think you need a sweater until quite later on, but it is quite nice and comfortable. But enjoy it while you can, because looking at tomorrow, especially the afternoon through to the evening, that's when conditions are expected to change and we could see a little bit more wet weather start to roll in. So overnight, expected to see some clearing, which is nice to see, with just a few clouds as we get into the early hours, so around 7 a.m. or so tomorrow. But if you are going to be in the Sarnia area, yeah, definitely want to keep an umbrella with you a little bit sooner than later. Looks like you're going to be seeing some heavier rainfall by tomorrow morning already. For us, it's not until the noon hour or so that we're expected here in Kitchener-Waterloo to see some heavier rain start to make its way. If you're going to be in Mount Forest, the Toronto GTHA, also expected to see some wet weather, and it's pretty much going to stick with us for most of the day, most of the evening, as we get into the overnight as well. For the afternoon hours as well, risk of a thunderstorm expected to stick around. So we could see some showers on and off, heavy at times. So plan those walks around that as well, and maybe keep that umbrella or two, maybe three, just close by just in case. Overnight though, that system should pass and we should just see a bit of cloud cover over Kitchener-Waterloo. So yeah, tomorrow definitely going to be a wet day out there. 25 degrees here in Kitchener-Waterloo, so pretty comfortable conditions. Again, nice to get out, maybe go for a walk. If you are by the water, it's a little bit cooler, 24 in Toronto, 24 in Hamilton, but with that humidex, not feeling really that heat and humidity out there, but it is feeling closer to 30 here in KW if you stepped outside. Similar in Toronto, a little bit warmer, 32 it's feeling like in Hamilton. So our expected high for today was 27 degrees. We have not hit that at this point. Around 5 o'clock or so, that's when we hit that 25-degree mark. So haven't quite reached our expected high, but we are sitting around normal for this time of year. Record high though, 37.2. That was set in 1936, and then it was 5.6 on this day in 1954. That sun now setting at 9:05 p.m. and that sunrise inching a little bit later and later as the days go on, now rising at 5:49 a.m. So it's getting later by 1 minute or so as the day continues. Overnight 16, so just a few clouds as we noted before. Getting into those overnight hours, and then tomorrow expected high of 23 degrees. That risk of a thunderstorm will come into play in the afternoon hours, and again, definitely keep that umbrella nearby. Chance of showers sticking with us for the next couple of days or so before it's expected to clear, and then we could see a mix of sun and cloud for your Friday with an expected high of 28 degrees, so fairly comfortable conditions there. For Lambton, Kenton, Essex, similar conditions in terms of wet weather with a risk of a thunderstorm as we look ahead to tomorrow. And then for southern Georgian Bay, again, keep that umbrella nearby for tomorrow, and conditions expected to clear a little bit as we get into Friday. Here is tonight's Weather Watcher picture, a great shot of the Park Hill Dam on the Grand River in Galt. Sean Coleman sending us this photo. Taken one sunny morning last week, the sun shining, nice blue sky. Beautiful, beautiful shot, Sean. Thank you so much for being tonight's Weather Watcher. I think no matter where you are, if you're just by water, period, it's just instantly relaxing. So nice.
Yeah, don't you just love summer? Sean captured it perfectly.
Love it.
It's gorgeous.
Don't want it to end, even if that sunrise is a little bit later each day.
Yeah, I know we have that sign that it will end eventually, but we got to just enjoy it while it's here.
Enjoy it while we can.
Yeah. Alex, thank you.
Thank you.
Families in Texas are getting the devastating news. Their loved ones didn't survive the floods and are among the more than 100 now confirmed dead. We're hearing stories of heroism, but also the challenging circumstances in which resources are working. CTV's Adrian Gobriel now with the treacherous rescue conditions and the testy exchanges over accountability.
There's people in it. Oh my God, there's so many people in it.
This video from Camp La Junta shows a cabin ripped from its foundation, floating down the Guadalupe River. Attending the camp, brothers Braden and Brock Davis, who credit their counselors with saving their lives.
Our bed starting tipping over, and like we got to the top really quick.
I want my world to know the Lord of love has come to me.
As campers sing a hymn, a passenger on board this evacuation bus realizes the level of devastation.
Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
These young girls were rescued from Camp Mystic, where more than 24 have been confirmed dead. The National Weather Service issued their first public warning at 1:14 a.m. on the 4th of July. The Kerr County Sheriff admitting that he wasn't aware of the fast approaching surge until at least 3 hours later.
When I was first notified, it was around the 4 to 5 area. One of my sergeants was in dispatch when the first calls started coming in, the actual 911 calls come in.
Though officials today declined to answer whether a local emergency manager notified authorities of the incoming flash flood.
We will get answers. Right now, all of our resources are focused to recovery.
With the chance of any further rescues fading with each passing hour, hope in Central Texas is turning to heartache over the precious lives swept away. During a cabinet meeting today, President Donald Trump praised the quick deployment of state and federal rescue crews, saying that without them, the number of dead could have doubled or even tripled. Trump confirming that he will be traveling to survey the natural disaster zone in Texas this Friday. Adrian Gobrel, CTV News, Washington.
And still ahead on CTV News, the Blue Jays' winning ways inspiring the next generation. The young baseball athletes stepping up to the plate and swinging for the fences while cheering on the boys of summer.
It's Jeff, KP, and Backstage Ben in the morning.
Three awesome people that want to start your day or finish your overnight shift.
You'll laugh, you'll text, you'll call, you'll scratch your head, and maybe even beat Backstage Ben. Weekday mornings from 5:30 to 10.
Listen live on the iHeartRadio app or at 105.3 Virgin Radio.
A rally was held at the base of the CN Tower in Toronto this afternoon in support of dozens of workers who have been locked out.
You're leading and inspiring hospitality workers all across this country. Today we are joined by our members in Windsor and in Surrey, BC, hotel workers who are standing on picket lines just like you, fighting for decent work, fighting for respect, fighting for the bosses to understand that they got to deliver both if they want the job done.
More than 250 workers, including hosts, waitstaff, bartenders, and cooks, have been locked out for just over a week. Unifor Local 4271 says it is battling with the Canada Lands Company over a lack of pension improvements. The union is also seeking wage increases, solutions for scheduling concerns, as well as improvement benefits and health and safety protections. Amazon is facing increasing scrutiny over its business practices as Canada's Competition Bureau gets approval from the federal court to investigate if Amazon's policy violates the Competition Act. CTV's Judy Tren has been taking a look at how this could impact the online retailer.
Amazon currently controls 40% of the online market. It's a retail giant that dominates e-commerce. The Competition Bureau is mainly concerned with the company's fair price policy, which it introduced in 2017, and whether or not Amazon is using that policy to abuse its dominant position. The Competition Bureau has obtained a court order to compel the e-commerce giant to hand over records and information so it can investigate 3 questions. 1, does Amazon charge higher fees to sellers, forcing them to pass on the cost to customers? Secondly, does it prevent sellers from offering lower prices on competing sites? And third, does its actions lessen competition overall in the online marketplace?
Those documents will give the Competition Bureau visibility into how Amazon operates and if there are any incriminating conversations or incriminating exchanges within its teams or between its teams and its stakeholders on limiting competition, driving prices up, all of the things that the Bureau wants to investigate.
Although the Competition Bureau is investigating, at this point, it's not alleging any misconduct. As for Amazon, it says it's focused on providing customers access to the products they want at low prices. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
Okay, let's update our top stories with CTV's Ashley Bacon live in studio. Ashley, first, an elderly Cambridge couple has been living separately in the same city for years, but it hasn't been by their choice.
That's right. Jim and Joan McLeod have now been reunited after living in separate care homes since 2017. While they're back together under the same roof, the fight isn't over. Jim and Joan have friends in the same building who are separated from their spouses. Ontario's long-term care system doesn't prioritize keeping married couples together. Jim wants to see the Till Death Do Us Part Act become law so other couples alike don't lose valuable time together. After more than 10 weeks, a strike is ending. Hundreds of Canadian hearing services workers have been striking across the province. Workers first hit the picket line on April 28th. Talks were stalled multiple times while at the bargaining table, but now a deal has been reached. Ratification was officially today, and according to union members, the plan is to go back to work as soon as Monday.
Okay, Ashley, online, our digital team has a story up on an update into the death investigation of a Cambridge man.
That's right, Leanne. Police have arrested 3 people and a 4th person is outstanding. In May, a person who has not been identified was believed to have been kidnapped and fatally injured. Now police have issued a warrant for 51-year-old Ian Brown from Guelph. Anyone with information about his whereabouts is asked to contact police. For more information on this story, you can scan the QR code on the bottom left of your screen to get the story on your CTV News app or to download the app right now. You can also visit our website, ctvnewskitchener.ca. Leanne.
Okay, Ashley, thanks for that. CTV's Ashley Bacon live in studio with our top stories. The Toronto Blue Jays will be looking for their 10th straight win when they continue their series with the Chicago White Sox tonight. As CTV's Sean Leathong tells us, the team's winning ways are inspiring a younger generation of fans to follow their local ball club.
At True North Baseball Camp on the Diamonds at Bond Park, young players are working on their game and talking about how the hometown Toronto Blue Jays have now won 9 games in a row.
They just have the strength and power to win.
They're hitting more home runs than last year.
They just have like the right pitching staff and everyone's contributing.
I think it's incredible and I'm not really sure how it's happening, to be honest.
And Barger hits a fly ball to deep right field.
With an 8-4 win over the Chicago White Sox last night, the Blue Jays have now extended their lead in the American League East, now sitting 3.5 games ahead of the New York Yankees. Manager John Schneider is saying confidence is high because everyone is pitching in.
When you're confident in everyone in the lineup behind you to kind of just do their part, which is what they're continuing to do, it's a real good feeling.
What may be more remarkable is this team was 2 games under 500 back on May 28th before turning the corner.
Everyone's just coming together playing a full game, and we're getting a lot out of people who aren't just stars.
And many of these young players say they're inspired by the hard work of certain Blue Jays.
Barger and Springer.
And Loperfita. I think we've seen a lot out of Ernie Clement, more than we expected, and I'm very happy to see that Kirk has gotten back to the all-star that he was.
The longest win streak in Blue Jays history is 11 games, which they accomplished twice in 2015, once in 2014, 1998, and 1987. It's been 9 years since the Blue Jays fans have seen their team win a playoff series, so what do these players think this team can do?
Winning the World Series. They might have a chance this year, probably not.
I'm really excited. It's just a great feeling for playoff baseball to come to Toronto.
I think the World Series will be calling our name, and there'll be another championship parade in Toronto.
So while these future players practice for tomorrow, they say for the Blue Jays, the time is now.
And that was Sean Leathong. Still ahead on CTV News, a brewery tour in your own hands. The card game on tap for local beer lovers. Plus, we meet the artist behind it all. Next.
Kitchener Blues Festival returns August 7th through 10th, and CTV Kitchener wants you to be there. Enter at ctvkitchener.ca now for your chance to win a 4-pack of VIP tickets to see Burton Cummings kick off the festival August 7th.
Coldplay will be returning to Rogers Stadium this evening for the second of 4 concerts in Toronto. Their first performance went off without a hitch last night, with fans able to make it into and out of the venue more easily. CTV's Reunited reports.
It was a night filled with flashing lights, balloons floating in the air, and capped off with spectacular fireworks. But even Coldplay couldn't resist poking fun at the issues plaguing Toronto's new Rogers Stadium.
Thank you so much for coming through all the bull you have to come through to this weird stadium in the middle of nowhere.
For fans, exiting the 50,000-seat open-air venue was much smoother compared to last week's inaugural concert, where there were reports of people fainting and waiting hours to get out. This time, people say there was better signage and more staff holding up red lights, controlling traffic, directing them to transit areas. But while concert goers had a better experience, those living across from the venue say it was chaotic.
The windows were shaking. Window glass was shaking. That's bad.
Others say they were threatened by trespassers.
People walking through our property, not really caring what was going on. They told us that we're here at the concert, we paid for it, and lump it sort of thing.
Area Councillor James Pasternak admits the summer concert venue is off to a rough start and says he was only brought into a working group 8 months after planning was already underway.
You had a private landowner and you had a private concert promotion company who wanted to get this done. And then you had support among the political elites who wanted to see this as a boost for tourism, as a boost for the cultural music industry, and they got it done very fast, surprisingly fast. But things should have been thought out.
While several road closures are in place and paid duty officers have been brought in, neighboring residents feel their concerns are being pushed aside for profit.
The city is not listening to us. This is our community, and all of a sudden we have this big situation going here, and I don't see the end to it.
And like this confetti from the show still littered around the neighborhood, those living here want the concert chaos cleaned up.
Okay, we have more news coming up. First, let's check in with Alex.
So wet weather could be rolling into the region as we look ahead to tomorrow, but we'll take a look at how the morning is shaping up to be and wake up weather coming up. Plenty of entertainment for your Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. It's E-Talk before back-to-back The Big Bang Theory. Then at 9, it's The Amazing Race Canada before Battle of the Generations.
Bounce 99.5 has the music you just can't quit. Home of Bounce Mornings with Angie Hill and Sarge. KW's Bounce 99.5. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app.
Okay, let's check back in with Ashley for a look at what our team is working on through the evening. Ashley.
Well, Leanne, we're keeping an eye on the Cambridge City Council as they're set to vote on a special charges bylaw. Staff are recommending the property owners pay for nearly half of the work. Also tonight, a Kitchener man has been identified as the person who was killed in a crash near Perth, Ontario last month. Loved ones say he was on his way to Ottawa ahead of Canada Day to visit family. Those stories and more at 11:30. Leanne.
Okay, Ashley, thanks very much. And Alex, one last check on the forecast. We've been kind of saying people should get out, enjoy the weather right now because some wet weather is likely on our way.
Yeah, some wet weather could be on the way as we look ahead to tomorrow, but beautiful conditions tonight. Early in the morning, so if you've got to maybe walk the dog, 6 a.m., not looking too bad. Mix of sun and cloud when we hit 18. Similar conditions for 8. Just a slight chance of showers starting at 10 a.m. While we hit 22 degrees or so. It's not until maybe around the noon hour we could see that system really making its way across Waterloo region. So could be potentially quite heavy at times, so you want to bring your umbrella tomorrow.
Okay, pack it with you.
Yep.
And finally for us tonight, there's a new card game on tap for beer lovers right across Ontario.
Hop On It features images of more than 100 breweries, all hand-sketched by an artist right here in Waterloo region. CTV's Alexandra Hollick serves up that story.
Like a locally brewed beer, Hop On It has been handcrafted to perfection.
We have cards with sketches and the location of each brewery.
Designed by Conestoga artist Della Van Dockenberg, the card game puts a handful of Ontario breweries at your fingertips.
So far, I've sketched just over 100 breweries. I think there's just over 300 breweries in Ontario.
At first, Van Dockenberg focused on a few hop spots in Waterloo region.
Then I just thought, you know, there's a lot more breweries throughout the province, and they're all in interesting buildings. How can I encourage people to explore? And I thought, make it fun. Turn it into a card game.
Here's one way to play. Turn the cards into a road trip. Pick a card from the color-coded stack and visit that brewery for bubbles, bites, and hopefully not a bad hangover.
I really would like to encourage people to explore all over Ontario. And this year, so many people are staying closer to home. They're traveling in Canada.
The game aims to bring business to local beer joints, including Block 3 in St. Jacobs.
The game itself is incredible. It helps support a local artist. We're a small independent business like many of these breweries. So I think it's just a chance to get new people in the door and try new places and new beers.
While Van Dockenberg says she doesn't expect to cover all of Ontario's breweries, she's not tapped out yet.
I think I've got at least one more expansion pack in me yet. I'd like to do another 50.
As for whether the artist indulges in her craft,
when it comes to beer, I'm lager in the summer and a good chocolate stout in the winter.
You can try Hop on It for yourself at several local breweries across Waterloo region, including here at Block 3 Brewing Company in St. Jacobs, while the full game can be purchased on Van Dockenberg's website. Alexandra Hollig, CTV News, St. Jacobs.
Okay, what a fun way to spend a day off, taking a brewery tour around Waterloo region or right across the province if you wanted to.
Right, I was going to say that's a great little weekend plan, especially if you don't really have anywhere you have to be. Why not pull a card and see where it takes you?
Yeah, play a game and have an IPA while you're at it.
Perfect.
All right, that's it for us. Have a good night. Thanks for watching. We're back at 11:30. Take care.
Bye.